to be sure you're getting the most out of your retirement for all the years of your retirement? That's the primary goal of More Living with Jim Brogan and our Dollars and Cents segment, where we provide you with an important financial tip that will help positively impact the quality of your life in retirement. And now here's Jim with this week's Dollars and Cents tip.
This week I want to talk about your power of attorney. There are two powers of attorney. There's one for your medical and one for your financial. The medical is when you cannot, is for someone to make your medical decisions when you cannot. The financial is for you, for someone to pay your bills and make your financial decisions when you cannot. They are two separate powers of attorney. What are things you should look for? One common question I get asked all the time, Jim, who should I name my power of attorney? Typically, we name our spouse, and usually when I get that question, it's who do I name as a fallback? You always need, in my opinion, now I'm not an attorney, but in my opinion, you need a fallback power of attorney. If your spouse is named and y'all are in an accident, who's going to be your power of attorney? You need a fallback. You might have 2 or 3 kids. So what do? You do need a fallback. Sometimes people will name 2 people as their power of attorney. That can create some logistical issues because then both people have to sign things. Now you could, if you list them in sequential order, that might be a little bit easier logistically. And, your financial power of attorney may be different than your medical for your fallback after your spouse if you're married. You might have one child that's just really rigid and good about, their staying on top of things administratively. You may have another, child that is more in tune to the emotional and the right brain kind of things. So, it may be 2 different people, but you need a fallback power of attorney. Also, the other big thing I want to impress, I get asked all the time, what is a durable power of attorney really? And what it really brings me to is this. There are really a couple of different kinds of power of attorney that I want to focus on. One is a durable power of attorney, which means if I name my spouse as my financial power of attorney, then I could be perfectly fine. I could be traveling. I could be in California or in just wherever. I could be traveling and unavailable. And if my wife needs to go down to my bank and do something for me, she can do that because she's my power of attorney. Some people don't like that because it also means that your power of attorney could go down to the bank and clean out your account. So sometimes in second marriages or when we're naming children and maybe you have an in-law that maybe is a little bit of an outlaw and there's issues there, you just have to be careful with those kind of things. So sometimes some people do is what's called a springing power of attorney, which means it springs to life when you become incapacitated. Okay? Now that means if you're traveling, nothing can be done. But if you become incapacitated, that's when the power of attorney springs to life. We see that most commonly, again, with second marriages or when there's children that people are unsure about, or maybe they have a spouse that their parents are unsure about. But those are the things you should know. And in my opinion, when you go to an attorney, the attorney should be educating you on those choices, or they should be at a minimum asking you questions so that they can then give you the proper guidance. It's not, you don't just walk in and the attorney says, okay, you just need this. It's a standard thing. It depends on your individual needs. So that is my advice this week on your power of attorney.
And that's our Dollars and Cents segment for this week. You can find this week's Dollars and Cents segment and others by visiting BroganFinancial.com.